Boys and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is the lizard tier list by the channel TierZoo. Lots of people have been telling me to react to TierZoo videos. I don't know what the hell is this. I guess this is a guy who's creating all this, animals videos with the, mentality of like it's a game or something. But since it has 2.37 million subscribers, it's probably good. So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I like it. I've never reacted to videos like this about animals and things like that, but it's always fascinating. So lizards, yeah. I think lizards are one of the oldest, maybe one of the oldest species who ever stepped on the ground first time. I don't know, maybe or there could be one of their ancestors, but something like that. Lizards are probably everywhere in all the environments on the planet. They don't require a specific environment to stay on, so they thrive on all environments, which is kind of interesting. There are lizards who changes colors, like chameleon and things like that. Some of them are really good at camouflage. It's just ridiculous. Some of them just stands at the leaves and it just looks like leaves until you see it moves. Like, what the hell? If I'm being honest, that creeps me out a bit. That's just effed up. I know about geckos since I played, Fallout New Vegas. I searched about what the hell is those, and those are geckos. Geckos are weird. Their physiology is weird. They don't have eyelids. Their toes are in a way that they can climb trees really fast. It's just weird, and they look weird when they're just standing there. It's just something. I've seen some videos about lizards running on water, which is just funny when I see it. They just run like that. Obviously, I don't know how that comes in handy. I mean, if why would you want to run on water? Why would you want to be on water? Just get out on the land if that's the case. So yeah, I think biggest lizard is Komodo dragon, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Komodo dragon. I know that from Far Cry games. Komodo dragon is definitely the biggest lizard there is. I don't think alligators and crocodiles are considered lizard. They are reptiles, but I don't think they're considered lizards. So I think biggest lizard is Komodo dragon, which is really dangerous. But obviously they are not dangerous as crocodile or alligator. So yeah, let's watch this one. And remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the other reaction I did. There's a link in the description. And yeah, let's watch this. Okay, so those lizards who uses long tongue to snatch their prey is chameleons, huh?
This video was made in partnership with CuriosityStream. Reptiles are a diverse faction full of many strategies, and generally speaking, they tend to be fairly straightforward. Turtles are tank builds that spec into high defensive stats at the cost of mobility. Crocodiles are damage.
I love that one. Cat does not care about eating, and cat is just being a dick there. Man, get out of here.
dealers that focus on grappling to secure kills. Snakes optimize for stealth and rely on status effects to bring down their targets. But where do lizards fit into the meta? They aren't really known for extreme speed, but as far as cold-blooded builds go, they're quicker than most. And while not as tanky as turtles, and not as stealthy as snakes, they can hold their own in each of these departments as well. Some of the larger lizards can even give crocodilians a run for their money in the power category too. While many of them could best be described as jack-of-all-trades generalists, there are also plenty of lizards with extremely unique abilities. So to better understand the many different game plans employed by the lizard player base, today we're going through the lizard tier list. Before we get in—
What is this, Metal Gear Solid type list? Ass above it. I think that's a Japanese thing, not just Metal Gear Solid.
Today we're going through the lizard tier list. Before we get into the tier list though, first I'd like to start with some background on the history of the lizard faction. So back during the Carboniferous expansion, the meta revolved around the conflict between the two most powerful factions, the amphibians and the arthropods. However, during this time, a small—
Oh man, long time ago, insects used to be really big. It's just ridiculous because there was so many high oxygen levels, and basically lots of these creatures rely on just through, sucking oxygen through the skin and directly to the cell that needs oxygen. So if you have high oxygen amount, your body grows bigger. So there are just, lots of us gets creeped out because of normal insects. Imagine giant 7-8 foot insects walking around. God damn, big dragonfly.
Subsection of the amphibian player base unlocked two new special abilities, the eggshell, which allowed them to respawn on dry land rather than in the water, and scales, which gave them massively increased dehydration resistance. This eliminated their reliance on water and
Armor
allowed them
upgrade.
to explore tons of new strategies, eventually diversifying into all of the reptile builds in today's meta, as well as a few that were so overpowered that they ended up getting nerfed. The most powerful lizard build of all time was the Mosasaurus, a build that arose from a player base of beach-dwelling monitor lizards that spec'd into aquatic mobility options in order to avoid being griefed by dinosaurs. But what are the most powerful lizards of today's meta? We're actually going to begin in D tier, as I don't think there are any truly awful lizards.
I think Komodo dragon is going to be at the S. I don't know which others are going to fit the Komodo dragon in the same category, but I don't think there are many. I'll be surprised.
Builds. The adaptations they've made to eliminate the weaknesses of their amphibian ancestors is enough to escape bottom tier in my opinion. So how do lizards stack up? Let's get into the tier list. In D tier we have the skink, a smaller lizard build with very little in the way of unique special abilities.
How sharp the video
Their
is, damn.
stats are also
That's great.
quite low, and their game plan generally just consists of chasing down players in the lower weight classes, and struggles pretty hard when forced to defend itself. In particular, this build has a lot of trouble dealing with birds. Despite the fact that it often hunts in grassy fields, it lacks the stealth stats required to avoid detection from above. In fact, many skinks are known for being brightly colored or having one specifically brightly colored body part.
Damn.
Skinks try to
That is a massive disadvantage, isn't it? First of all, you cannot change your color. So what's the point of being in grassy field? I mean, camo is important. And then you have brightly colored body parts. Bots can see you from long distance.
avoid being griefed by digging burrows for themselves. And while burrows are a great hiding place, the burrowing playstyle tends to work best when you've got the ability to launch a powerful attack in a single direction, since the bottleneck of a burrow makes it near impossible for a predator to approach without getting hit. Skinks can't really mount any sort of...
That was so awesome, man. Have you seen some of the fights that happen in real life with humans? You know, they get into a fight and one of their kids just come out and just stand there and see what's happening here. That's what that happened. The cat, you know, that whatever, which predator was that? One of the cats. So, you know, cat was fighting with the snake and the kid came out like, what's happening here?
attack, so if their burrow gets discovered, it's most likely game over. The one defensive ability they do have is one commonly found in the lizard player base, autotomy. Autotomy allows the user to drop their tail in order to get one free escape from a combo or grab. Now, to be fair, being able to break out of your opponent's death combos is an extremely useful trait that can save you from certain defeat. But with that said, autotomy is extremely costly to use, isn't guaranteed to work, and leaves you with reduced max HP for the rest of the game, even if your character has regenerative abilities. For the larger lizard builds, losing your tail also removes one of your best offensive options. But for the skink, this isn't as big a problem. With all that being said, skinks are one of the more lackluster lizard builds, so let's keep going and get to the more interesting ones. Also in D tier we have the basilisk lizard, which is most notable for its use of the sprint ability, not just to move fast on land, but also to cross bodies of water.
There you go.
At first, this ability seems quite impressive, and it certainly is a flashy move, but upon further examination, I don't think it's really all that useful in the long run. Being on the surface of the water is quite possibly the most vulnerable position in the game, leaving you open to attacks from above and below. But ultimately, I think it's more important to just point out that the whole reason the reptile factor...
That is true, isn't it? I mean, what's the point of running a water like that? I mean, alligators, the crocodiles can just, you know, creep at you like that. You know, anything can attack you from below, or even bots can attack you from the sky. So that doesn't really, but it's damn cool now watching that.
faction split off from the amphibian player base in the first place was to remove their reliance on water. So choosing an ability with a pretty situational use that also requires that the user be on the water's edge to use it is kind of a step backwards in the grand scheme of things. The basilisk doesn't even have bad stats.
Yeah, it was pretty useful right there.
It couldn't use the water dash move without above average mobility. But still, I think its choice of moveset is pretty self-limiting, and they'd be better off speccing into other signature moves. In C tier, we have two lizard builds who invested heavily into the climbing ability. The gecko build operates in a similar manner to the tree frog,
The sound
with
effects.
cling pads enabling it to climb any surface with ease. As far as mobility perks though, this is probably one of the best in the game. It works great as an escape option, but is also fantastic for utility and even for offense, allowing the user to approach targets that are normally harder to reach. Being able to hang on tight is also super important for arboreal combat, as fall damage is a major threat. With such a strong clinging ability, geckos can often be the ones tossing other players into the void below. Geckos do have a fair number of weaknesses though. They opt to use their tails to store energy, which can be a useful ability, but unfortunately in doing so, they take away the option to use their tails to attack. Geckos also do not have scales, instead opting for skin that gives disease resistance bonuses, so their armor class is lower than that of most lizards, and actually more akin to amphibians. Because of this, they're quite vulnerable to piercing damage, such as bird talons and snake fangs. And with relatively low damage output, their only real hope against such attacks is stealth, which some do definitely excel at.
Damn!
All in all,
Look at that shit! If I see that, I would be creeped out. Look at that, just eyes. Everything else blends in just perfectly.
solid mid-tier. The Anoli is a small, agile lizard build with a surprising number of special abilities, most notable of which are their adhesive toe pads and their color-changing skin. Most builds that run the cling pad ability tend to be more bulky and cumbersome. Anolis emphatically break this mold, being both excellent climbers and having a climbing speed that rivals that of the squirrel. Because of this, they're great at escaping attacks by jumping between trees and scrambling up branches. But where things really get interesting is
That is really important right there. That saves you basically. That's a great surviving trait. You can just jump from leaves to leaves with immense speed. I mean, birds can get you if you see the birds coming. Obviously, something like eagle is coming for you. There's a high chance you won't see it coming. But yeah, you could just jump and run away.
with the color change perk. Now, the ability to change colors is one of the most downright broken stealth perks in the game, and one of the main reasons I consider cephalopods top tier. Anolis have probably the most basic version of the color change perk, allowing them to shift between green and brown at will. While nowhere near as versatile as some other color changing builds, green and brown are pretty much all you need the vast majority of the time. This change is very gradual though, so it's unlikely to allow you to escape mid-combat.
Look at that!
Which is unfortunate because, similar to the gecko, the Anoli suffers from a lack of combat options when caught out in the open.
Gila monster.
Last in C tier we have the Gila
That's
monster.
big.
The Gila monster is one of the tankier lizard builds, and possesses one of the highest damage outputs in the game for its size. It owes this high damage not to its actual power stat, but to its venomous bite, a rare ability among lizards. This makes them extremely dangerous in close combat, and combined with their excellent defensive stats and digging ability, this allows them to easily vanquish all of the players in any nest it discovers. The Gila monster is extremely slow moving though, which can cause issues if it's ever forced to flee, or if it needs to chase down a target. The lack of a long whip-like tail also means its defensive combat options aren't near as diverse as other larger lizards. Still, with one of the most devastating bites in the game, it's certainly no low tier. In B tier, we've got the tried and true iguana, arguably the best representative of the lizard build as a whole, as it has essentially all the main weaknesses
Iguana is really famous lizard, isn't it?
and strengths of its class. I have an entire video on the iguana, so go check that out if you want an in-depth review. But in
Are
short,
iguanas OP,
the iguana
really?
sports mid-range stats across the board, and is the first lizard on the tier list to make use of its tail for something other than a sacrificial scapegoat. The iguana's tail whip attack allows
Look at that with the style. I don't know why I saw that. It just felt there was a bit of attitude there. Come here, get out of it.
to control a solid defensive zone
Look at
around
that.
itself in all directions, enabling it to defend itself from group attacks.
Who wants
Tail
something?
whip's
Come here.
damage is on the low side though, so a persistent attacker could potentially just eat the damage in order to break through and land its own attacks. The iguana also has access to the autotomy ability, but this is especially costly in the iguana's case, as it'd also be giving up its best combat move in the process. Overall, a solid mid-tier with lots of potential, especially in the marine servers.
There you
The
go.
chameleon build sports several of the most unique abilities in the game. So most lizards, especially the insectivorous ones, have a pretty simple game plan for taking down enemies. Chase them down and grab them. This strategy has a lot of limitations though. First of all, it means you've got pretty much no options to attack a player who is too large to grab. It also forces you to optimize heavily towards mobility, forcing you to neglect other potential strategies in order to have a chance at catching up to your target. The chameleon subverts this limitation by speccing into one of the strangest abilities in the game, a tether tongue attack. This essentially functions as a ranged grab, and is extremely effective at scoring the chameleon kills. This also
That's a sniper right there. Look at his even eyes. His eyes like are scopes, man. And that tongue is like sniper precision right there. That is awesome.
allows the chameleon the freedom to prioritize other stats over mobility, and in the chameleon's case, they're clearly optimized for stealth, as evidenced by their other special ability, color change. Now, while chameleons can change color in order
look at
to
that.
buff their camouflage, most use it for communication and intimidation, shifting to brighter colors to display dominance. While they don't have the same cling pads that geckos and anoles do, their prehensile tail gives them extra security to ensure that they don't get easily ripped out of trees, and allows them to attack from riskier positions. With all this said though, they still struggle when caught out in the open because of their low mobility. And they also share the same offensive weakness of not being able to take down players that they can't gulp down in a single bite.
That bird be like, oh, what an idiot.
TierZoo is a lizard build that has long been overlooked, but has recently become a serious contender on the tier list. Its recent invasion into the North American server has destabilized the local meta, and when you look at their stats,
What the hell was that?
recent invasion into the North American server has destabilized
Invasive little lizards threaten native Georgia wildlife. Really? Damn, it's ridiculous how new species gets introduced in certain region and just destabilize the entire area. Lots of wildlife start to go extinct and everything. This is awesome, man.
the local meta, and when you look at their stats, it's easy to see why. Tegus are similar in both strategy and stats to the iguana, but slightly slower and more defense-oriented. Their thicker hide and stockier build allows them to shake off attacks that would send other characters reeling. They've also got a higher intelligence stat than most lizards, which in addition to making them surprisingly decent support builds, also makes them great at outsmarting builds like alligators in order to attack their nests. Tegus are also omnivores, meaning they aren't forced to participate in PvP in order to level up. They did spec into the autonomy
Nice.
ability though, which I unfortunately think keeps them out of top tier. Before I reveal the top tier lizards, I just want to say real quick, if you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, it would sure make my day if you subscribed. Thanks. So without a shadow of a doubt, the best lizard build is the monitor lizard. They have everything. They've got the best stats, a combination of great mobility, power, size, and intelligence. Similar to the iguana, monitor lizards have an extremely powerful tail whip, capable of deterring even top tier predators. Monitor lizards also have a venomous bite.
Got to be kidding me. They just ran away. Holy shit, I didn't know that was possible.
Which again is a rarity in the lizard faction. While not the speediest lizards outright, they do have great versatility in their movement, being able to swim efficiently as well as climb most surfaces, though not to the same degree as the marine iguana or the gecko respectively. Their high intelligence enables them to consistently figure out ways to successfully raid the spawn points of other players, and their high defense makes it so they can be rather difficult to stop once they've committed to an attack. This faction also contains the most powerful lizard in the game,
Komodo
a
dragon?
lizard that reaches near dinosaur power levels.
Damn.
Komodo dragons are extremely powerful.
Dinosaur-like parallels, come on, man. I mean, look, Komodo dragon is powerful, but I don't think if the size are equals, alligator and crocodiles are still much powerful than Komodo dragon. But obviously, that's not going to be the case. Usually, alligators and crocodiles are going to be much bigger than Komodo dragons. So, I mean, yeah, for the lizard, this is most dangerous. But lots of people have this misconception like Komodo dragon just sounds good, so they are more dangerous than crocodiles, alligators. They are not.
Powerful. They have a venomous bite that, while not as powerful as cobra venom, is still powerful enough to seriously weaken even the tankiest
That's heavy.
builds. But even without that, they'd be an absolute powerhouse. Their tail swipes, claw slashes, and thrashing bites can easily
Damn.
shred through the HP of their targets. Their only real weakness is their speed, which, while solid, isn't
Yeah.
broken by any means. Still, with their incredible sense of smell, a player can never really truly escape a Komodo that's hunting them. The distance that you need to flee in order to make the Komodo unable to track you down would require you to leave the island server entirely. Last but certainly not least, Komodos, as well as the entire monitor lizard player base, understand that their tails are an invaluable weapon that shouldn't be sacrificed in order to escape a battle. So there you have it, the lizard tier list. Hopefully now you've got a good understanding.
Damn, talking about lizard royalty. He doesn't even, want to shed its tail. Like, why would I? I'm already dangerous. Yeah, this was good, man. I didn't know there was so many different. I mean, obviously I know there are lots of species, but this much variant species of lizard, that is great. I'm pretty sure there are much more than that. This is just some of them that he covered. Obviously there are lots of species, but I didn't know they range that far. Obviously Komodo dragon is just, I saw in the game, Far Cry, like what the hell is that? That's not an alligator. What the hell is that? Then realized there's something called Komodo dragon. Like I didn't know something like that existed. And even in this one, not big as Komodo dragon, but big enough. There are some lizards that, like, if you see in real life, you'll be like, okay, that's dangerous, let's move away. So this is ridiculous to see. And so some of them just made whatever, big cats run away, tigers or whatever. They just came and like, what the hell, I'm out of here, because he slapped them with his tail. That's just ridiculous, seeing those massive predators running away. Damn, this was a good video, man. And his style is awesome, making it look like it's a game or something. I think he's doing that because I think that way YouTube doesn't go after these videos, because otherwise this bloody thing, YouTube will be like, you know what, this is not good for average public. So he makes it looks like a game, so YouTube doesn't see that as a issue, I guess. But it's still a great technique that he's using here. I love it. There are lots of other videos he made it too. I'm gonna react to that one too because I like it. I'll never react to this animal type of videos, because sometimes people watch Discoveries and National Geographic, things like that, where people just hunt and just bloody things, and I don't like that. It's creepy. But if it's entertaining like that, yeah, it's gonna be fun to learn about that. Walking, running on water, that's just awesome, isn't it? Every time I see that, that's just awesome to see. But yeah, that doesn't have much of advantage. Obviously, if you're back against the water, let's just say, and some predators coming at you, it's really good that you can run on water. But lots of these lizards are also amphibious. They can go inside the water, so I'm not sure how much good it is to run on water. This was a good video. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe, and so I know which type of videos to react to more. Comment down if you want me to react to some certain video. Check out the other reaction I did. There's a playlist I've created of lots of things in the cards, in the end cards. Check out the link in the description with all of my videos, and yeah, I'll see you next time.